Alright, hey guys, so in today's video we are going to install side motor mounts for the 55 Chevy. This car has the original motor mounts in the front location on the motor, and we're going with a higher horsepower motor. So we want to get away from the front motor mounts and go to side motor mounts just because of the horsepower and torque that we're going to be putting this car through. We're going to put in the Trans-DAP engine swap motor mounts and the side motor mounts for the 55. There's supposed to be a direct bolt-in. Nothing really is a direct bolt-in when you're dealing with aftermarket parts. So we're going to walk you guys through the steps and show you what we have to do to get them to fit. Hopefully they're direct bolt-in. I got a feeling we're going to have to do some fabrication, but we're going to find out. So. And
just a side note, there's going to be another video on us actually changing out the motor, so we'll have that linked either in the description or on the screen.
Yeah. So we're doing a lot of upgrades to this car. It's beautiful already, but we're going to do some cool performance upgrades to it. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Same bat time, same bat channel. All right, so the first part of installing these side motor mounts is we've got the side motor mount bolted in to the block. We got our 3 bolts to keep it snug. There's a tiny bit of play and adjustment on that, but it's here. We are mocking this motor with the original mounts in place. So I want this motor to sit in the exact same spot as it did with these mounts. There's multiple reasons for that. We don't want to change the drive shaft angle. We don't want the distributor sitting too close to the firewall. And on the convertible, if you look back at the exhaust pipe, it comes through and goes through the frame here, through this X-frame. So we don't want these pipes to move in any way, and we want the exhaust manifolds to go back on the exact same way. With that being said, that's why we're doing it with these original mounts in place. So with the first step is to get the motor mount mounted to the motor. And then the second step is to get our frame bracket, which is here. There is a right and a left, but it is going to just go up here. Like this. If you have brake lines or fuel lines on the top of your frame, you're going to have to move them. So we've got it up in where it needs to go, and I'm going to put the bolt in it. I want to mock it up as close to how it's going to be when it's all together. So there's our bolt is in. So now the next step is to try to get it as snug to the frame as possible while still sitting in that motor mount. So what we're going to do now is mark our holes, and then we'll possibly we're going to either tack this, weld this in as well to give it some strength. So here's the motor mount. It's bolted in, and then I had to put a couple spacers on the back side of the mount that goes into the motor itself. And what I'm trying to do is just to get the bolt to go in nice and easy. So I ended up putting three washers up here and here, and the bolt goes in and out nice and easy. So then once I was able to get that on both sides with the bolt going in nice and easy, I'm tack welding here, and they don't look pretty. We're going to clean them up and make it better. We're still going to bolt it in, but the tacks are just so this does not move when we take the motor out. So now I'm taking out the motor mount, and we're getting the motor out of the car. So now we have the motor mount that we're turning our attention to before we can put the motor in. So before we took the motor out, we used the front motor mounts and left them in, so the motor was sitting where we wanted. We put the side motor mounts in place. What we did is we bolted it to the side. I don't know if you can see the bolt. We put one bolt in and then tack welded both sides in. I guess it's hard to see, but basically there's a bolt in there in the bottom, and it was tack welded on the bottom as well on both sides. So what we're doing now, since we have room to work with the motor out, we're drilling our holes. We got a hole here that we drilled. We're moving the brake lines. This hole here is very tight, so I had to remove this washer and the bolt that goes in there, so we can hopefully get a drill bit in there and drill it. And for strength, we're putting all 4 bolts in it, and we're also tack welding it in place, just so it's not going to move and never have a problem. And then we're doing the same thing on this side. It's a little tight on this side because we've got the steering box and we've got some stuff in here, but we were able to get in here to drill this hole. We were able to drill this hole, and you can see down here we did have the bolt in place, and we got some tack welds across the bottom, so it does not move while we mount it. So that's what we're doing now. We'll also remove this washer and nut, which is loose. That shouldn't be loose, that should be tight. I don't know why that's loose, but it's a good thing we're in here doing that. But we're going to get these mounted and then get the motor in. So we've got all the holes drilled except this one here, so we're going to move the brake lines a little bit out of the way, and then this is a fuel line. Bend that back when we're ready, but that way it gives us access to this hole that we can hopefully drill. We're going to probably, this is going to be the hardest one to drill just because it's going to be a little bit of an angle, but I think we'll be able to do it here. Got a nice sharp drill bit. Alright, now we'll do the same thing on the other side. These would be very hard to install if the motor was in the car, just because of trying to drill everything out with the exhaust in the way and you know, some of the motor stuff in the way. It's definitely doable, but you may have to remove some exhaust manifolds or you know, something to get access to. So like I said, for these last 2 holes, I can't drill them with this washer in the way in the metal, so we're just removing this. And you know, we built this car about 4 years ago, so things do get loose, so it's a good thing we're kind of going through the car. We're going to just check all the nuts and bolts before we put it back on the road again, and make sure everything's tight. So here's the hole we're trying to drill. We can get access to it now. So we've got all our holes drilled. We're going to bolt the sides in, get our bolt in the top so it doesn't move, and then we're going to go around and just tack it so this will never move with this car, because we got a little bit of horsepower going through. We don't want anything moving.
So the bolt holes are in a very difficult place to access, so we're using this long magnet in order to assist us in reaching where the bolts go. It would be very difficult to just use our hands, so having this tool is pretty helpful. And after tightening the other bolts, we're doing the same exact thing, using the magnet to get the bolt through the top piece because our hands would not fit through them.
Alright, so the brackets are in and we painted our welds so we won't have any rust issues. And we're getting ready to put the motor in. Now we got the motor in with the new motor mounts, got the bolts in, and we're ready to start putting this all together. Motor mounts is a success.
Okay, you action.
You action. God damn it. I could never be an actor. We are upgrading the motor and we'll put a higher horsepower. A higher horsepower.
Inappropriate. Leave. God.
Can't work with these unprofessional people. Alright, what the hell was I saying? We're changing out the hands. We're changing out the motor. So